Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Schellenberg. I'm the Director of Community Services, and I'm joined by Alexandra Garcia. She is our system support specialist. And today we are doing the training on community services and TheraP and EVV, which is electronic visit verification and scheduler. Okay, so what is EVV? We will go over this also at the end, but just to give you an overview. EVV is electronic visit verification, and New York State has to comply with the federal mandate as set forth in the Cures Act. And there are 5 elements that provider agencies, actually, I think there's 6, that provider agencies must provide for services. And this information must be entered at the time of service. So those 5 elements include date of service, check-in, check-out time, name of employee, name of individual supported, and the verified location of the service. And we're capturing this information electronically. Here's a link to the New York State website where you can gather more information. And of course, we will be going over this more in detail later. Okay, so at CFS, we utilize TheraP for our community services staff to capture their EVV records. So TheraP is going to be used to check in and out for all direct services, and this allows us to be in compliance with the federal mandate. So for the community programs that use this, they include community habilitation, day habilitation, and TBI staff to also use ISP data to record goals and staff actions. And our home care staff enter their prompts for goals in the EVV comments. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means. At CFS, we use Paycom for our human resources and payroll system. So for community services staff on a daily basis, you're going to be checking in and out to TheraP, which we will show you. And at the end of that payroll period, we take that information, that data, and we import it directly into Paycom. So as a result, it's important that you accurately indicate your direct service time in TheraP each and every session. All non-direct time, including paid time off for training and expenses, all those things are entered directly into the Paycom mobile app, not into their app. So it is important that staff check to make sure that their check-in and out time is accurate and communicate any discrepancies to their supervisor. Okay, so TheraP. So TheraP Services, as I mentioned, is the company we use. They have a mobile app, and the mobile app is going to allow you to capture that EVV session. In order to download that mobile app onto your own device, if you'd like to use your own device, you can go to the Android, the Play Store for Android and search for TheraP to install. You can also visit the App Store for Apple and search for TheraP to download. If you do not have access to a mobile device of your own or prefer not to use your own device, we will be able to provide for you an agency tablet that will have the app on it. And you can contact your supervisor to get that going. Okay, so once the app is downloaded successfully, you're going to see this login screen here. Now, if you're a new employee, we are going to set up an account for you before you start working. So we will let you know what your login name is. We set your temporary password to welcome, the word welcome, all lower cases. And the provider code is always all caps CFS-NY. Okay, and typically the login name is your first initial last name, but if we have somebody with that, you might have something slightly different. Okay, so we will provide that information to you. You can use that information to log on. Again, if you're a new employee and you use that temporary password, you will be prompted to create a new password. And the password policy will be displayed. Okay, so once you've successfully logged in, you've changed your password and you've entered into the system, you're going to see this screen here. So this screen has a profile. It has a bunch of different modules. So T-logs are those daily notes that you're going to write about those things that you worked on for the day. ISP Data, this is for our day habilitation staff. They're going to use this module to collect data on, and we will talk to you more specifically about that. MAR, which is for medication administration, which does not apply to our community staff. But then what we're talking about today is scheduling slash EVV. So when you first log on and you're reporting to work, you're going to hit scheduling slash EVV to get started. Okay, so once you hit that scheduling EVV, you'll be brought to this screen, which is your agenda list. If you have a static schedule that doesn't change often, so let's say you're working from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day, your supervisor might go ahead and enter a schedule for you to see. If your supervisor has entered a schedule for you to see, that will appear on your agenda list. Okay. If it does not appear, that a schedule does not appear on your agenda list, that simply means that there's no schedule entered, but you can go ahead and click self check-in at the bottom. So you'll see the self check-in that will allow you to enter if you do not have that static schedule. Okay, so if you don't see something on the agenda, do not worry, just go ahead and click self check-in. If you do have a schedule on your agenda, you have about an 18-hour period of time to check in and out to that slot. So let's say, for example, you're scheduled from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. But you were running late, you spoke to the family, and you're going to be doing 8:30 to 9:30. That's okay. You can still hit that. It's going to capture your time as 8:30. Okay, so when you see a schedule on the agenda, there's two ways that you can check in. One is to just select, hit the schedule, and it'll open up the second screen. Or the other one is you can swipe to the left, and you'll see this check-in button here, and that will let you do a quick check-in. But most people just hit the schedule, they'll open this up, and they'll hit the check-in option here. And then you can go ahead and log your device off. You can put it away, power it down, put it in a safe place, and continue to do the important work that that you're here to do with the individual you're supporting. I'm sorry. Before you log off, you're going to be prompted to finalize the location of your check-in. So it's going to bring you to this screen. It's using GPS. So you do have to have GPS location services on your device. And that would be in your device's settings. So when you're checking in, it's going to pin you to the closest location based on the GPS coordinates. And you can put in the comment if that's the home, the individual's home, or if you started in the community. For example, if you've met somebody at the supermarket to start your day, you would put that just so we understand if you're starting from the home or if you're starting from the community. Okay, so that comment is going to relate specifically to the location that you're checking in. Now, if the location is not exact, we know GPS has some issues. You can try to move around the person's home to get, the best location, but it's going to allow you like a 1 mile radius. So if it picks up the address for the person next door, we understand that. Okay. And then again, once you have filled that location comment in, you will receive a confirmation message that will say check-in has been successful. If you have checked in outside of the 15-minute, if you've had that scheduled slot, it's going to ask you, to make sure that you have a comment indicating, maybe that you were running late or what the reason is for you checking in outside of that slot. And then again, at this point, you're going to shut the device off and go back, providing the important work that you're here to provide as a direct support professional. And you do not need to go back into TheraP until you're ready to close to checking out. And you want to give yourself a few minutes before you check out to do this next step. Okay, so this is, we have a few different programs in community services. We have community habilitation, We have TBI, where we support people with traumatic brain injuries. You are able to, for those two programs, you are able to enter the data. It's called ISP data, and that is the data, that you're working on to support the person with their goals right before you check out. Okay. For day habilitation, we will talk to you about how to capture that data in a different place. And for home care, we'll show you where to capture that as well. So before you check out, you're going to give yourself a few minutes to complete this task. It won't take too long once you get the hang of things. If you go back into the EVV scheduler, you'll see that open shift is there where you checked into. So you're going to click on that. It will appear on your agenda as an incomplete shift. So you're going to click on that and it will bring you to this first screen here. Okay, and you'll see the date and time that you've checked in, the location. This was from what you entered earlier, the location type and the comment. And you see at the bottom, it says ISP data for service. So after you've checked in, that ISP data for service is going to pop up. So before you're checking out, you're going to click on that ISP data for service. And that's going to allow you to enter data on what you worked on for that session. For the very first time that you are entering ISP data, we want you to acknowledge that you've read the goal plan, or what the system calls an ISP program. So that is giving you some detail on what are the long-term objectives, what are the goals or services, why are you working on this program, what are the different tasks that you are going to be working on and recording on. Okay. So you're going to see this screen, and at the bottom, if you scroll down, you're going to be clicking acknowledge. And this is basically acknowledging that you have reviewed this ISP program. So again, this is a one-time step. The only time this will pop up is if, let's say, there was a meeting and some goals were changed, and a new program was put into place, and you need to review it and acknowledge it again. But for the most part, once you do this, you'll be able to just on a daily basis skip these two screenshots and go right to ISP data collection. Okay, so you clicked ISP data for service, you've acknowledged, and then you're going to see ISP data collection window open here, which is this last screenshot. And at the bottom, it says add a task score. And just pay attention to the number there. So it says 0 out of 4. So that means you have not entered any data on any of those goals. So if you can't remember if you did it or not, you could look at if it says 0 to 4, you didn't. If it says 1 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, that's good. So go ahead and click add a task score. Oops. And you'll be brought to this task score screen. So the task score screen is going to list, in this case, for this sample person, the 4 tasks that that you as the staff are going to be working on, and it gives you a little bit of information. Again, this is your supervisor has written this plan, so this is giving you some instruction on what to work on. And what the score is, if you look at the top here, these are all the scores you can choose from. So let me just explain this to you a little bit. So we're looking for 2 things. We're looking for what is it that you did? What was the support that you as a staff provided? And then the second part of that is, how did the individual respond? So if this first goal has to do with the DSP is modeling and verbally prompting Joe to use various communication functions in his iPhone, and will help him to utilize voice activated system in his home. So maybe practicing using Alexa to set alarms for different things that are going on or appointments that are going on. So if you show up to work and that's the goal you're working on, and you've assisted Joe to put Alexa on as a reminder for an appointment he has later on that day, then you would have provided assistance. So you verbally prompted Joe, so that's providing assistance. And did he do it? If he did it successfully, then he's making progress. So if you see here the different scores, you have independent mastered, independent maintaining skills, assistance making progress. So in the example I gave, I would select assistance making progress because I provided assistance and Joe responded to it and seems to be making progress with that goal. Or assistance not making progress, or refusal. So the common ones that we find are the three assistants, and also no opportunity or not scheduled. So that would mean because he has 4 goals, let's say out of the 4 goals you worked on 3, but the fourth one was laundry. And you only do laundry on Friday and today's Monday. So you would put no opportunity, not scheduled. And then you would report on that goal on the day it happens. Okay, and each task you can see has the frequency. So in this example, you see the 1, 2, and 3 has daily. So that means as a staff, you are working on those goals every day. So we'd want to see those task scores each day being worked on. Okay, independent mastered or independent maintained skills. If you're selecting those, that means, let's say you came in and Joe had already set the Alexa app to remind him for that appointment. Well, he's independently doing that, but maybe he needs a prompt, a reminder from you. Hey, Joe, did you do it? And he said, oh, yeah, I did, but yesterday I forgot. So maybe he needs a reminder to maintain that skill. So you're putting these task scores to let your supervisor and the team know what you did and how the individual responded. Okay. And any questions about that, you can speak to your supervisor. Once you've added the task scores, like in this case, you see the 4 out of 4 entered. So that's good. The next thing you're going to select is the group count. The group count is going to default to NA. Group count means what is the ratio? So it's 1 staff, 1 DSP working with 1 individual. So the group count would be 1. And that's what we want to see here. Okay, so you're going to have to select group count. You're going to have to select 1. Okay, so now you're going to submit that. That's going to grab all the answers to the questions there. It won't let you submit it, or it'll tell you if you forgot to fill out group count, for example. So it'll prompt you to correct that. And then once you've submitted and everything has successfully went in, you can go back to this agenda. This is the ISP data for the EVV scheduling session for this day. And you'll see the time, the location type, and you will be able to see, the ISP data at the bottom no longer shows 0 out of 4. So you're good to go. The second screen, if you're attempting to check out, it's going to give you a reminder to please complete the data from the slot. So if you've already entered the data, go ahead and click OK, you're good to go. If you have not, this is your last reminder to go ahead and enter that data before you check out. So you would hit OK, then you would go back and hit that Add Task Score button. So once you've done that, you're ready to go ahead and check out for the day. So the checkout, again, same thing. You can simply swipe to the left to check out, or once you're in that agenda, once you're in that scheduled session, you can hit checkout right here. Okay. And now actually we have another reminder. By clicking here, I attest that there's documentation to support the visit. So that to us means you've entered your data and that this data is subject to audit, so that it's accurate, it's correct, you've entered it, everything is good. You just say yes, and that's going to grab your checkout. Okay. You're going to be prompted to do the same location. It's going to bring you to that location window again, because again, it's grabbing the checkout location, the GPS location. You're going to put home or community. And so it'll have captured all those elements. So if you think back to the beginning, all those EVV elements, we've got the date, the time, the location, the service type, your name, all captured at the time of the service, which is what we're required to do. Okay, now, so that, as I mentioned, was for community habilitation and for TBI. I spoke about DayHab, that ISP data is captured outside, but DayHab staff still use the EVV scheduler module to do the check-in and check-out. But for home care staff, instead of entering data, you are going to use the Add Comments button at the very bottom of the schedule. So after you check in and check out, where it says Add Comments, you are going to indicate the goal that you provided and the prompt number on the chart here. So home care typically only, each person only has about one goal. So let's say it's supporting a person with their daily living skills, and you completed that with verbal prompts, you would simply click add a comment and write daily living skills and put the number 2. Okay. Or in this, as I wrote here, completed chores and the number 2. Okay. So this you're going to have to take note of to remember the scores. And if you don't remember the number, that's okay, as long as you put independent or verbal prompt or gestural prompt or physical or refusal. Okay, there is an option which you will see at the very bottom for verification. So this verification is for the individual or the family to provide verification, meaning they sign or they leave a voice recording. We do not require you to capture this every session, but part of our compliance plan will include random sampling. So we might ask that a verification be captured. So we might call and say, when you check out, pass the phone over to the individual and have them sign off here. Okay, so this is on an as needed basis. I just wanted to point out what this means. Okay, and so now I'm going to kick it over to Alex. So Alex, now that we went over that, what are some of the common issues that you're finding that we see that staff, that are happening with staff when they're using the EVV module?
Thanks, Linda. So yes, one common error that we see is a discrepancy in the time in and out and the notes that are left. So if staff forgot to check in at 9 and checked in at 10 and maybe left a note directly on the EVV saying that, unfortunately, that may not be caught in real time. So any changes or discrepancies that need to be made to that EVV shift need to be directly communicated to the supervisor so that the updates can be made. Another thing that we see often is that the comment is not entered. So it should reflect home or community. And another common issue that we see is staff quickly check out and may forget to enter the data. Again, the data is very important and it impacts our contemporaneous protocol for entering data. So if in the event that that does happen, first, we would like for you guys to make sure that you're making every effort to enter that data contemporaneous. And secondly, if that does happen, on the agenda list, as seen on the slide, you can hit that blue arrow to go back to the date that you forgot the data. We communicate with the supervisors on a daily, weekly basis of any missing data, and then they communicate with you. So please be very mindful that services are recorded in a contemporaneous manner. So again, those are the issues that we commonly see.
Okay, so now that we've gone over the training and specifically helping to make sure that you understand how to use their app to capture these required elements, we want to give you some more information. What we're going to review is actually part of an attestation form that you have received this training and that you understand the elements. So Alex is just going to go over this with you, and this way we could point out, anything that we want to elaborate on.
Sure. So again, what is EVV? EVV is a system that may include multiple points of care verification technologies, such as telephonic, mobile, web-based verification inputs. And again, TheraP is equipped to provide these different ways to check in and out. If for whatever reason the mobile device is not an option, if it's not something that is realistic for you at the time, please let your supervisor know and we will set you up with the telephonic option. Or if there is a computer within the home of the individual you support, we will set you up with the web-based verification way to check in and out. The system electronically verifies the occurrences of home or community-based services visits, identifying the time that the service provision begins and ends to ensure accurate claims disbursement, and helping to ensure that beneficiaries who are authorized to receive services get that expected care. The start date of EVV compliance was January 1st, 2021, for HCBS and TBI waiver services, including community rehabilitation, respite, and HCSS. EVV is used to verify visits in real-time basis, including dates, location, type of service, individuals providing and receiving services, and duration of services. It is used to validate hours of work for home health employees, eliminate billing data entry mistakes, reduce costs related to paper billing and payroll, and to combat fraud, waste, and abuse. What data fields are required to submit EVV data? The 21st Century Act identifies the following data elements that must be captured electronically: type of service performed, individual receiving the service, time of the service begins and ends, which is the check in and out or clock in and out, the location of the service, date of the service, and the individual providing the service, which again is all captured with that mobile app, that we use their app for. Here we have the provider system overview and workflow. So the system that we're utilizing is the TheraP scheduling EVV module. Supervisors create schedules, or the staff use the self-check-in option that we've reviewed. DSPs utilize a mobile app or the telephony or to capture the required EVV elements. This information is then reviewed by supervisors to ensure accuracy. And once the data meets all of the elements, their app will send that information to the state aggregator. And then after that step, we begin the billing process. So the flow here shows those steps exactly.
And Alex, just to interject, um, we didn't go over the telephony or the fob. Alex will talk about that a little bit. We do primarily use the mobile app, but there are other options if that's not available.
Definitely. So that phone option, if again the mobile device doesn't work out for us, then that's fine. We can use that option, and we'll use the home phone, or we can set up for the family's phone number to be recognized by the system. And what that fob is, it's a device that provides identification numbers that can be used for that check in and out. And again, more information will be relayed if that's something for you. Now, how will direct support professionals collect that data using TheraP and devices? CFS utilizes TheraP services, which offer the following: the mobile app on a smartphone or tablet, a fixed verification system called a FVV, placed in the home of the individual, and interactive voice response, IVR, usually a telephone line, a landline, but only will allow your telephone to be used by the caregiver. Okay. And the video training will review the step-by-step instructions on how to use TheraP mobile device for DSPs to submit the data to the TheraP system. If a mobile device is not available or one of the options is requested, additional training will be provided. And in addition, the specific steps can be found on the TheraP website. DSPs collect data for each individual that they're working with based on their schedule. And at this time, CFS is only providing one-to-one ratio services across community departments. If a group ratio is added, additional guidance will be provided. Okay. And here we have a link that gives information from our TheraP website that we can share as well.
Let me just click the link, Alex, so we can just show them.
Sure.
This is a very helpful. Let's see if I can open this up. Okay, so TheraP does have this particular page dedicated to scheduling EVV, and we did capture that workflow here. And if you want more information on the different options, you would just hit this button here. So about what the mobile app is, interactive voice response, self-check-in, and there's a whole bunch of different trainings that can be provided. Again, you can take a course here. So this would be if you want additional information and on the right. So this page is really good if you want to gather more information about EVV. Okay, let me just close this. Okay, go ahead.
Definitely. Not a problem. All right, so how and when to collect EVV data manually and what to document. CFS requires visits to be captured electronically. However, we understand that on occasion there will be exceptions. So when a DSP is unable to capture the visit electronically, they need to contact their supervisors right away and provide the reason. Some examples include mobile device issues, staff errors, staff forgot to check in and out, there's an issue with the telephone. The supervisor will manually enter and indicate the exception code. Frequent requests for manual entries will result in further investigation with outcomes including additional training, supervisions, and or disciplinary action. What information to share with Medicaid beneficiaries and their families about EVV. CFS has provided information to the individuals we support and their families about EVV, and the link here will review the information that we shared with them.
Okay, let me click on this one just so we could show you what this is. As mentioned, this will be given to the individuals and families. And so this is a Department of Health document that in a very easy language goes over the main points of EVV to, dispel any myths. Some common myths would be that family might think they're being tracked. Again, there's no tracking happening. It's simply capturing the location where you as the staff are starting your session and where you end the session. So there is no tracking happening, and this in no way is limiting any hours of service that are going to be provided.
Definitely. And lastly, there's so much information about EBV out there. Their app is a great location to find a lot of information. And so we have some FAQ handouts that they have generated. And then the 21st Century Cures Act. It's another document that gives us more information as to what EBV is and why the state has adopted this.
Okay, great. So that wraps up our training for today. If you have questions that you still have after the training, feel free to reach out to your supervisors, your first point of contact, or Alexandra or myself. And this PowerPoint, as well as this training you're watching and the attestation, will be provided to you. And every year we will be doing a refresher training on this as well. And that wraps it up. Again, thank you so much. Continue to do the good work that you're doing, and we will see you soon.
All right.